Good afternoon, Hattiesburg. Thanks for joining us for this Friday afternoon briefing for COVID-19 and other city news. Today we're going to start with our numbers. These are Forest General, Hattiesburg Clinic, Merit Health Wesley, SEMRI, and the Moffitt Health Center at USM. These are system-wide numbers. 48,424 tests have been conducted since March. 5,568 of those have come back positive. Just over 42,000 have come back negative. We have 779 tests pending currently. In the hospital, COVID-positive patients for Merit Health Wesley and Forest General combined 80. That's 8 under where we were over the past 14 days. We have 8 who are showing symptoms and are under investigation right now. Of those 80 in the ICU, we have 28 who are COVID positive. That's also 4 under where we were over the past 2 weeks, with another 3 under investigation. This is kind of how it's looked since the beginning of April, and of course, since the big increase, especially over the last week, we've seen that number drop in hospitalizations. And of course, if you can drop your hospitalizations, your ICU utilization will follow. Statewide today, we had 874 new positive cases and 24 new deaths. No new deaths in the Hattiesburg metro area today. I'm thankful for that. New positive cases, however, Forest County had 12, Lamar County had 13, so 25 combined just for today, which brings our total 1976 in Forest County, 1330 in Lamar, 3,306 total since this began. Inside 14 days, this is where we take the number of new positive cases. We average it with the 2 days prior, the 2 days after, and so continuing to see that 5-day average meander along, but also seeing decreases. We're also seeing decreases in our inside 14-day number. We track this one because this kind of gives you an idea of how many active cases you have, because COVID-19 generally runs its course in 14 days or fewer unless there's an adverse reaction. So the number of people whose positive tests have come back in the last 14 days in Forest County is 218. In Lamar County, it's down to 148. Over time, we've continued to see, since that last week of July, a steady decrease. This is a very welcome sign as we move forward. We've been doing this for the last couple of weeks, just kind of a snapshot of where we were a week ago to right now, and mostly good stuff. Forest County, a week ago, we had 325 people who were inside 14 days. That means potentially 325 active cases. That number is down well over 100 today, just 7 days later, to 218. Lamar County was at 195 last Friday. They're at 148 today, so a drop of 50. So combined, over 150 fewer people, potentially active cases in our metro area. In the hospital, we've also seen a decrease. 103 was kind of our high water mark last Friday. That number's dropped down to 80. ICU also fallen by 7, down to 28 today. Continue on to hoping to see those trends continue, because we want to protect vulnerable populations. If we can protect the vulnerable, they're less likely to go in the hospital, so we can prevent overrun of the healthcare system by slowing the spread. And then finally, prioritizing public health while giving the private sector the space it needs to operate creatively. Some good news this week. The biggest one is our inside 14-day number is at its lowest point in Forest County since July 11th, and at its lowest point in Lamar County since July 9th. That's very good news over this to get that number back down to that level. And this week, our ICU utilization dropped to its lowest point since July 13th. There's still a couple items of concern. Hospitalizations remain high. We're down from the 103, but we're still in the 80s, which is 7 higher than yesterday. And so we still haven't really got a handle on trying to consistently drop that hospitalization. If we don't get that hospitalization number down, the ICU number will pop back up. And so the more we can curb hospitalizations, actually, the more that we can keep people from getting sick, the fewer people we can get hospitalized, the fewer people who end up in the ICU. The final thing we're watching is that we don't really know the full impact of having our K-12 school districts back in and our university students back on campus. We know that most schools at the K-12 level started in-person classes this week unless the person is opting for virtual. Now, Hattiesburg Public Schools will not start in person until after Labor Day, and USM will not start in person until after Labor Day, even though those students are on campus. So it's going to take us a few weeks to really get the impact of having those students back in the same room, in the same space together consistently. Our census watch, we're going to keep reporting this until it's over. 39 days left. Our response rate is up to 54.9%. That's a 0.1% increase over yesterday, and everyone counts. And so we hope that you will go to HATTIESBURG-AREA.com. If you have not yet filled out your census, it literally takes 5 minutes, and you're doing your part to make sure that Hattiesburg will receive all of the resources it needs over the next 10 years. We also want to go ahead and update you. This is kind of on everyone's radar. Is we have two storms, and the most 2020 thing ever. We have two tropical storms headed toward us at the very same time. We have Tropical Depression number 14, which will take on the name Marco as it strengthens. It is scheduled to arrive first, but Tropical Storm Laura, who could become Hurricane Laura by the time it hits, they're coming about the same time. It's still early. The forecast and the path of these could change. We hope that they miss us completely and don't cause any damage to anyone. But right now, landfall looks like it's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively, for each of these storms. Please discuss your emergency plans with your family and friends. Of course, we will continue to push the rule, which is don't do dumb things in the middle of a tropical storm or any other kind of severe weather. We also want you to know that you can tune in to City of Hattiesburg Facebook page, the Forest County or Lamar County Emergency Management Facebook page, and you can't go wrong with watching Nick and his team at WDAM Weather as well for more technical information than what I can give you right now. However, we do want to encourage you to, if you're not on Hub City Alerts, text HBURG to 888-777. If there's any information that needs to be communicated, we will send that out on that alert system via text. We know that rain events in Hattiesburg, especially a lot of rain in a short amount of time, will often mean flooding. And so we're going to have sandbags ready to go on Monday. So just be watching our Facebook page for when those will be available. We know that we do have some low-lying areas in our city. And speaking of Tuesday, we also have a referendum that day. And given the potential severe weather, if you are in one of those categories that can vote early via absentee, particularly if you're over 65, you may want to come up tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day to vote absentee. We'll be open at City Hall from 8 to 5. You can pull up in front. If you don't want to come in the entrance off of Front Street, you can call 545-4552, and someone will come help you curbside absentee. But this is the election that depends $1.2 to $1.4 million per year on us. We need to renew that franchise fee agreement with Mississippi Power for another 25 years. So we continue receiving those funds to continue supporting our general fund. So again, the election's on Tuesday at Jackie Dole from 7 to 7, but tomorrow, Saturday, from 8 to 5 is your last chance to absentee vote. And finally, your act of courage. We know that 2020 has brought significant challenges for all of our schools. When you're a state institution, the funding during a pandemic can also be affected because your enrollment is affected. And so, but this year, so many friends at the University of Southern Mississippi stepped up, and they've had their largest fundraising year to date of $39 million in fiscal year 2020, which just ended. We know that there is a perseverance that comes with being a Southern Miss Golden Eagle. We also know that the Southern Miss family is very generous, particularly in times of trouble. And so to Dr. Bennett and all of his team at the foundation, to all of you who donated, we say thank you. We would love to see our university, Southern Miss and William Carey, continue their trek toward the top. As we go into the weekend, remember to wash your hands, take care of yourself, wear a mask if you go out in public, do only what is essential. Remember, you're safer at home. Please fill out your census form if you have not done so yet. Please watch social media for information about the storm, and we hope you have a good weekend.